Hello, my name is Dianna Link. I'm a composer and I live in Littleton, Colorado. It's just a little outside Denver. I wrote this piece in the middle of the pandemic, and at the time in Colorado, we were having a lot of wildfires all around the state. And so I was really thinking about wildfires a lot. And there's a pine tree that is pretty common in Colorado. It's called the lodgepole pine. And it actually has a serotinous pine cone, which means that it's covered in sap from the tree, and the only way that the seeds get released is through intense fire that comes about through something like a wildfire. In that, it's really poetic because with the destruction that the fire brings, literally the next generation of the forest is born from its ashes, because without that fire, the pine cone wouldn't have released its seeds. Um, and I just thought that was really hopeful thing to think about in a really hard time. Um, and so I decided to write my piece about that. I just love being outside and I really like learning how things work, biologically or scientifically. And I also like to find stories. That's a really big thing too. So, like, all of my music, I feel like tells some sort of story. And so I like to connect, like, what's around me in nature, how it works, and how does that tell some sort of story. I've written other music with nature, like my very first piece was about water, and that was kind of like a love letter to the flute. I play the flute, and so, like, I just have these associations in my head of instrument sounds and physical things, so when I think of the flute, I think of water. I have multiple pieces about rain because I love rain a lot. I always seek to tell a story through my music, just finding how how do things work and how does that tell a story that I want to tell. Yeah, lately I have been really thinking about connection in music, and I think two ways that make music the most powerful is when it's connect when it's connecting people and it's creating community. And I feel like the easiest way to connect with people is to tell stories and connect on an emotional level. And so that's really important in my music. When it comes down to it, like that is how humans communicate, is through, sharing your story or listening to someone else's story, and like the emotional bond that comes through that. I really feel that happening in my music where I just want people to feel it. I want people to connect with it. Um and the easiest way I can do that is through emotions and storytelling. So lately I've been literally mapping out my pieces with like pictures. So I
Okay.
know how I want a piece to feel like. And so I try to like map out the form of a piece, like by visually drawing it out before I even write anything down. And so I have a clear map of what I want it to feel like and kind of what I want it to look like in terms of, colors and pictures and forms. Um, and then I use that to go into the music making process. So I wouldn't go as far to say that I have synesthesia, but I do kind of use it in a sort of way with colors and emotions and connections. So, like when I'm mapping out my pieces, I'm like, I want this to feel like a bright lemon yellow in my body. Like I know what that feels like, and I can put that out on a page and try to like describe that in the music. I don't really tell people necessarily the colors that I'm thinking about because it's kind of abstract to other people, but it makes perfect sense to me. I have this one whole piece that I remember I drew a picture. It was literally like blue and red, and it was like fading together, so the middle was like purple. And like that was literally the whole idea of the whole piece was just like this big wave. It's an intermediate process that helps me get all of these ideas that are like swirling around and get them all into one place so I can see them in front of me. I've just always had this. I don't know why, but like with the flute, I think of water. I really, really like the piccolo as well. So when I think of the piccolo, I think of ice, which is kind of like water, but a little bit different. It's like kind of crystally. And then when I think of the saxophone, I think of like soap and bubbles. And when I think of like string instruments, it makes me think of, blades of grass. Have you ever seen those like real like the wild fields of grass where the grass is like really tall and it just waves in the wind? And when I think of the oboe, I think about ducks. I'm not really sure why, but so yeah. I mean, this is kind of biased, but I really, really love the piccolo. I just like ever since middle school, I just fell in love with the piccolo, and a lot of people have given me a lot of grief for it because most people do not like the piccolo, but
Oh.
I think it's just really misunderstood and it's really an amazing instrument. It just doesn't get enough love. So, yeah. Like I said, I was writing this during the pandemic, and I feel like it was kind of like a year of discovery and growth for me as an artist. I was just trying out a bunch of different things that I haven't done before, and I was feeling really self-conscious about my music because I think partly because everything was, digital, so we didn't have um the same level of connection and collaboration. So I felt like I was creating everything in like a vacuum, and I wasn't really able to get feedback from other people. So it was really interesting because I was like pushing myself, but I didn't know like how it would be received. So it's kind of scary for me discovering this new part of my creative voice. I don't know. I just really depended a lot on other people's opinions, and I guess it really pushed me to just be confident in myself and who I am and not really worry as much about validation from other people. And that was a really hard lesson to learn, but I think it really helped me, you know, go out of the box, in many ways. I am starting this new project that I just wanted to do for myself. Um, and I'm calling it Red Ink Pages. Um, because when I was a freshman in college, my very first composition teacher, he refused to look at any of my music without marking it all up in red ink with all of the notation errors before he would look at any of the actual music. I like developed this kind of aversion to red pen, and like I need to do everything perfect and everything by the book, and like am I good enough? I don't know. And so I'm writing a series of solo works for just, my friends. And each piece is going to be about a different color of red. I just finished my first piece. It's for viola. But basically, like with this project, I'm challenging what people think music is because I think people have gotten too obsessed with playing exactly the notes that are on the page and being perfect about it. And what music actually is, it's a way to express yourself and connect with other people. And it doesn't really matter if it's perfect. It doesn't matter if it follows all the rules. What really matters is, the process of creating it and like sharing it with other people. I'm really being super collaborative with this. I can just email my friends. I'm like, can you play this couple measures for me and like get immediate feedback like that and really shape the piece like as a collaborative thing because as a composer a lot of times they're like okay write us a piece and come back in 5 months. I think it's really a lot more fun when it's a group project in a way. I'm really excited about this project because I just really want to get back to music making for like this for the fun of it and for the community and the connection. I just want to break out of the box of kind of what classical music has become of everything must be perfect and everything's cutthroat and like no that's really not what it's about. you know it's it's about sharing a moment in time with another person that you can never get back. It doesn't matter if you play all of the notes. It doesn't matter if you squeak, like it it matters if you had a genuine moment. It's really different for everything you do. Because for some things it really is like here, write a piece and come back to us in however many months. I just think it's so cool when the people are open to, trying out different things. I've been giving myself the permission to write bad music, if you will. And so not every idea needs to make it into the piece, but every idea is part of the process. So you have to give every idea you have the space to grow. And so that's where workshopping it with other people, whether that's just sending it to them over email or actually getting in the room and playing it with them, that's really important because you can figure out which ideas work and which ideas don't. I wrote a string quartet last year and I wrote 50 pages of music and only 25 pages actually made it into the actual piece. It just like takes a lot of pressure off. You don't have to be perfect. And you just need to give yourself space to create. My favorite collaborations are the ones that give you the time and the space to make mistakes and mess up and figure out what works and what doesn't. I'm really excited. I am going to go to the Acropolis Chamber Music Festival this summer in Petoskey, Michigan. I'm super excited about that. I have a lot of work to do. I'm writing two pieces. I'm writing one piece for the Acropolis Reed Quintet, and then I'm writing another piece for the festival. And so that'll be later this summer in August. So I'm working very hard on those two pieces, trying to meet my deadline. I always write right up to the deadline. I like to joke sometimes I need a deadline to get things done or else I never get them done. So it's all good things, but lots of work to do in the next month. But I'm very excited about that. I would like to say that I have the cutest little tortoise in the world named Sheldon, and I love baking things. I love making sourdough bread and pizza, and I made a cake that's shaped like a teapot. Yeah. So.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this interview and want to see more like it, check out the 30 by 30 by 30 playlist on our channel. For more information about the 30 by 30 by 30 project, check out the website linked to the right.